Awesome. So Derek, you'll click through the slides. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I've got it as a full. So just sort of give me a one word or a nod or a whatever. Yep.
Rather, it's sort of in the opening of it, it's quite clear where it sort of signals the move to the next thing.
Yep.
Um,
Do you want to be the one who's speaking to start with, or do you want to go straight into that first image?
if we keep that first image up, and
Yep.
then when I talk to we like in New Zealand, it's tikanga, it's etiquette that we open with karakia, and then
Yep.
jump into that next one, and then I reference the image in the previous slide, but I've superimposed the language
Okay.
over the next slide, so you shouldn't need to go back and forward at all.
Okay. I'll start with that when it turns over for you to start us off. Great.
Right. This one, and we'll Gabriel just signal to us when we're good to go.
Yeah, welcome everybody. We've already opened up the YouTube streaming. Thanks New Zealand for opening up. We're gonna just chat around until the hour, and then we'll officially start. But yeah, we're very welcome everybody.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
And I can see you lovely three girls. Can you just bring your chairs in a little bit closer to me? Just snuggle.
Get them all. Oh, we do have all three there today, do we?
We got all three.
Excellent. Great.
That's wonderful.
Like we're seeing triple.
I know, right? So how can we do it? What's the best part? I mean, it is the best kind of angle.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, I can do that. Okay.
Hey, kids.
Hello.
Right, neat. And then when you guys are chatting, I'll just go.
Okay.
I think the swivel like you did just then and like you did last time is going to work great for your kids.
Yeah, is it better to have everyone sort of packed in from your guys' view?
It's working well at this end from for your one, Philly. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's nice to open up with you guys here too.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You can see Tasha's quickly writing last minute notes.
Yeah. And me.
Yeah. I wrote a script to keep to time, but if you change the slide, I know I'm still talking too long, so I'll just move to the next paragraph. Some are really short and some are longer, so I think I'll be good this time, Derek.
The problem with being a good storyteller, Natasha, you
or a waffler. Depends how you look at it.
you're pretty cool.
I feel like the feedback that I've always got, the professional feedback for me is like, just keep it shorter, just get to the point. But then on the flip side of that, people will say like, wow, that language is great. And it's like, I haven't quite struck the balance. It's the pitfalls of being an English teacher, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it's a pitfall of just being a communicator generally, Philly. It's
get carried
there's
away.
always something else coming to mind when you want to say it. Yeah.
Frank Green's probably not a good look. Have you guys put your phones on silent?
Yeah,
wow.
checked everyone.
That's real good. Me too.
I took a screenshot so I can put that in the newsletter tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
Gabriel, how long before the recording will likely go on the website, do you think?
Tomorrow.
Oh, it'll be up there tomorrow.
No, tomorrow will be we'll have it on the channel tomorrow. And probably by Saturday we'll get it on the website. Yeah.
Fabulous. All right.
Yeah.
We send out a newsletter.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day after tomorrow for us.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, good. So we're ready to go.
Excellent. All right, ready to start.
Okay, welcome everybody. We are officially starting our 24 Hours for Change in Education Worldwide Marathon. And once more, like we did in 2022, we are very happy, very grateful that we're opening up with our friends in New Zealand. who are going to share with us what's going on in their region in terms of change, and very especially and very importantly for us, their links to their native culture, their traditions, their origins. So thank you, Derek, and the team for once more hosting your segment, and it's all yours now.
Kia ora, Gabrielle. I'm going to hand straight over to Philly. Here we go, Philly. It's all yours.
Kia ora koutou, and a very warm welcome to you all. Ngā mihi kia koutou, nau mai, haere mai, piki mai, kaki mai, whakatau mai rā ki te tāmaki makaurau Aotearoa New Zealand. We welcome you once, twice, thrice, and more times to our beautiful corner of the world that we are so privileged to call home down here in Auckland, New Zealand. It's a real honour to open this kaupapa, this initiative, which is 24 hours in education across the globe, from right here in New Zealand. Before I hand over to my esteemed colleagues from Stonefield Primary and also from Birkdale School, I'd like to begin in tikanga. So tikanga in New Zealand, it's cultural etiquette, and it centres us when we gather in a formal space. So especially in public education, something that we like to do is to begin with a karakia, or a blessing. And it's this blessing that grounds us, it unites us, and it brings our collective purpose into focus. And I'll read that now. So me inoi tātou, tūtawa mai I runga, tūtawa mai I raro, tūtawa mai I roto, tūtawa mai I waho. Kia tau ai, te mauri tū, te mauri ora ki te katoa, haumi e, hui e, tāi ki. And as you'll see on this slide, this karakia, this blessing, it calls from the winds from all directions. It gathers diverse perspectives and cultures and voices into a shared space. So it's perfect for the kōrero, for the conversations that we have ahead of us today. You may have also noticed on the first slide, a bright, joyful drawing of the sun by my 8-year-old son, Archie. So it represents te rā, or the sun, and it connects us to a pūrākau, or a story about how Maui slowed the sun. And I want to briefly share the story because it forms a beautiful analogy for the mahi, for the work that we do. And it also acknowledges our connections across the Pacific, from Aotearoa, New Zealand, where we begin this initiative, to Hawaii, where we will end it. So Maui is an important character in Māori, in our Indigenous mythology, and also in Hawaiian mythology. And so this pūrākau, this story, and Maui as a character, it connects our stories, it connects our people. So in one telling of this pūrākau, the sun raced across the sky far too quickly, 7 times a day. And Maui and his brothers were frustrated because there was no time to fish or harvest, or simply to enjoy the warmth that the sun and the daylight brings. And so under the cover of night, they crept close, they snared the sun using Maui's fish hook, which was made from his grandmother's jawbone. And they held it fast. And they didn't want to hurt the sun. They only asked it to slow down so that people could fully live their lives. And from that day on, te rā travelled more gently, and it gave us the days that we know now. So different iwi, different tribes across the motu, across the country, will have a different interpretation of this story. And there may be parallels across the Pacific as well. But the heart of this story remains. And it reminds us of the whakatauki, which is a proverb. Hurihia tō aro aro ki te rā, tukuna tō atarangi kia taka ki muri I a koe. Turn and face the sun, and your shadows will fall behind you. In education, especially in this moment of time, we face constant change. There are policy and political shifts, there's noise, there's system pressures, and it can feel loud and it can feel relentless. And these things can distract us from our purpose, but what grounds us not only as educators in Aotearoa, New Zealand, but I think globally as well. And what pulls us back to our why is the same. It's human connection. It's preparing young people for their futures. It's community. It's people. It's whānau. And so it's family. And so with that, I would like to hand over to my wonderful colleague, Hope, and the team at Stonefields Primary to continue that conversation about what helps their awesome young learners thrive in their unique context. So ngā mihi nui ki a koutou. Thank you all very much. Kia ora.
Ngā mihi, Philly and the team at Albany Senior High School. Kia ora koutou, my name is Hope Griffin. I'm one of the principals here at Stonefield School. Stonefield School, or Te Kura o ngā Porai Pohatu, sits at the foot of Mangere, Mount Wellington in Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland. And it gives me great pleasure to hand straight over to our Kapahaka Ropu, or group, to start our live cast today from New Zealand with traditional waiata. Over to our Kapahaka group.
Shall we do one more? Do we have time? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you to Nathan and our senior Kapahaka Ropu. So if we go to the next slide, please. And the next one again. This shows our Stonefield School Vision aspiration, and our school vision is our guiding star. It is critical to filtering what we do and what we don't do, and provides us with a shared purpose and direction. There are 4 vision rocks underpinning our Stonefield's vision. Building learning capacity, which is all around growing learners, growth mindset, their identity, their resilience, and their haora, or well-being. Collaborating, growing learner kindness, understanding different perspectives and leading to shared outcomes. Making meaning, which is around using our learning process, building learner curiosity, inquiry, and their creativity. And finally, breakthrough, which we'll talk a lot today about, and we've got 4 learners to share about, which is around learners identifying their strengths and mastering their passions. We go to the next slide. We've had a lot of work and to co-create and review our essence statements, which has enabled shared clarity and ownership about where we're headed. Our breakthrough essence statement, for example, has changed quite significantly in recent years, following a large piece of work that we carried out around learner agency. You can see that learner agency is now a significant part of our breakthrough learning. On the following slide, our curriculum entitlement at Stonefield School is important to us, enabling balanced learning through knowledge building, but also capability building. On the left, you can see our foundation knowledge balanced by conceptual understandings and adding context to our learning for engagement and making meaning. On the right-hand side, you can see our focus on problem solving, learning dispositions, and learner agency. So breakthrough is an exciting outcome for learners at Stonefields. It's an opportunity for them to pursue their passions, grow their strengths, and give back to their community. And on the left of this slide, you can see that our student council just recently came up with our breakthrough challenges. And these provide learners the opportunity to exercise their agency by completing physical, passion, and impact projects. This is a new initiative that was only introduced this year, and we are now very excited to hear from 4 of our recent recipients of this Breakthrough Challenge pin, and they'll share how this process has made a difference to themselves and to their learning. So I'm now going to hand over to Toby to share about her breakthrough learning.
Kia ora. My name is Toby, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my learning here at Stonefield School. At Stonefields, we have an amazing opportunity called Breakthrough. And in Breakthrough, there are 3 main categories: Passion Project, Physical Sport Challenge, and Social Impact. These 3 areas in Breakthrough give us learners the chance to explore our passions and challenge ourselves to try new things. In order to create my passion project, I firstly started by identifying what my passions were. And for me, this is cooking and baking. So I decided that I was going to make a recipe book, but it wasn't that simple. I first had to plan what foods I wanted to cook and then experiment cooking and trying my baking. Some cooks were a success and others a failure. But after I was happy with my finished recipe book, it was then printed and bound. And now that my recipe book is finished, I'm very pleased with it. Next, for my physical sport challenge, I decided to push myself and try new things throughout the term on holidays by keeping fit and healthy and completing goals such as 2 kilometers of continuous running and 5.5 kilometers of continuous biking. After I completed these 2 goals, I then recorded my data of time and kilometers in my presentation. I am so happy that I've challenged myself throughout this school holidays. And next time I am at my house wondering what to do, I will definitely hop on my bike and cycle around my suburb. Finally, for my social impact, I chose to focus on planting in my local community. I did this firstly by helping my mum, our school gardener, to prune and trim the pahudakawa trees in the car park by Hub 4. These branches were then ground up in the chipper and used to make mulch for new trees and plants around our school. Secondly, my dad, brother and I all went to a Waitaroa Reserve planting day. This was held at a local community near us and run by the council. It was an amazing opportunity to help out my local community by planting native trees and sharing kai together. I truly loved and cherished these moments to explore and challenge myself here at Stonefield School, all thanks to our amazing teachers and breakthrough projects. I'm now going to hand over to Thea to share about her breakthrough learning. Thank you.
Kia ora. My name is Thea, and today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my breakthrough learning from here at Stonefield School. Breakthrough is a unique opportunity here at Stonefield School, and it is something everyone can take part in, where people collaborate together, try out new things, and most importantly, have fun. For this project, there were 3 main categories: physical challenge, social impact, and passion project. For my physical challenge, my goal was to get 70 skips in a row, which I achieved in. For this, I practiced before and after school, on weekends, and any free time. It was also the matter of finding the right technique. The reason I wanted to do this is because we were doing skipping at school at the time and I was really enjoying it. The time I was most stuck in the learning pit with this was when I was learning how to do a challenging new skipping technique. For my physical challenge project, I built determination by not giving up. For my social impact, my goal was to help teach younger learners their times tables by making a card game. What drove me to do this is because I like maths and I thought, what's something important I can teach younger learners? The time I was most stuck in the learning pit with this was when I first started, because I was rushing to get the game made and it got muddled up. For my social impact project, I built collaboration and determination by collaborating with someone else, and determination by not giving up. For my passion project, I made a shape in the shape of a moon, and I am very proud of my creation. What drove me to do this is because I like being able to be creative and do whatever my mind tells me to do. The time with this I was most stuck in the learning pit was when I was trying to draw out what I wanted to make, but I wasn't drawing the measurements right. With this project, I built resilience and determination by not giving up. Overall, I've loved completing all of the breakthrough challenges. It was really fun and different and unique, and I love taking agency in my own learning. And now I will pass over to Charlotte to share her learning. Kia ora. My name is Charlotte, and I will be sharing some of my breakthrough with you today. Here at Stonefield School, we have a unique opportunity called Breakthrough. For my breakthrough, I finished all 3 of the challenges, including Passion Project, Physical Challenge, and Community Project. Through this process, I definitely used our Stonefield School learning qualities and the learning process. One of the learner qualities I used the most was reflect, because I had to reflect on what had gone well and what I could work on. I also used determination when I was stuck. The learning process, I started at build knowledge, exploring and looking deeper into my topics I'd chosen. Then I went through make meaning and worked on the planning and did some practice. Last, I did apply understanding, created and solved. Doing this, I felt like I have grown agency, resilience, determination, and confidence, giving back to others. Overall, I really enjoyed this challenge because I could be creative, achieve new goals, self-lead my learning, and have fun. Now I will pass you over to Matteo.
Hi, my name is Matteo, and this is my experience and perspective on the Breakthrough Challenge. My first project was on physical activity, where I took videos of myself showing certain drills that work on skills like footwork and endurance, then writing how to do them, what skills they improve on, and the goal to complete the exercises. The second piece of work I did was my passion project, where I transitioned from playing the recorder to playing the clarinet, and attending an orchestra trip to play with Auckland Philharmonia. Lastly, I worked on my community challenge, where I presented in front of younger learners for a Filipino parol workshop. Throughout my breakthrough journey, there were multiple times where I got stuck in the learning pit. For example, gaining the confidence to play with a professional orchestra, or trying not to think too much on what to say for a presentation. To overcome challenges like these, I developed new capabilities and qualities like agency, because of how I kept track and went through this process by myself. Determination, because I found the courage to play with professional orchestra members. And lastly, leadership, because I led an entire workshop for younger learners while sharing my culture and guiding them along the way. If I wonder how different my breakthrough and everyday learning is from others, what sets me apart is my perspective. Like everyone, it is unique and diverse, but what makes it stand out is the fact that I try to understand others' perspectives and apply it to my own. When you have a mindset like that, it can literally change the world. It can emphasize a person's voice to a whole different level, which is the entire point of speeches, interviews, this live stream. The list goes on and on and on. My breakthrough represents my version, my perspective. Looking back at all the progress I've made and the effort put into my breakthrough, it reminds me that I can work through anything with passion and focus, which is the power of this amazing project. I've been reflecting on how I can keep myself physically fit, connecting with my culture, and wondering if I could challenge myself to learn a more advanced instrument. Overall, the Breakthrough Challenge can inspire and influence other learners to try new things and set themselves up for success. All 4 of us have been working remarkably hard to show you this today and are proud to receive the first Breakthrough Challenge leadership pins in Stonefield School. We will now hand over to Brookdale Primary.
Wow, hi Stonefield. What amazing young people you have. Kia ora koutou katoa, ko Natasha Tainakore, tōku ingoa, ko au te tumuaki o te kura tuatahi o Birkdale. I am Natasha Tainakore, that's my name. I'm the principal at Birkdale Primary School. And Stonefields has just shared some powerful examples of how young people thrive when you have a clear vision for learning that is understood by everyone. So I've started at my school a few years ago now, and when I joined, we lacked that strong vision. We have a strong community, but it's diverse. There's diverse lived experiences, ethnicities, and socio-economic backgrounds. In 1894, we were established. We're the oldest school in our area, and we're the only mainstream school also in our part of Auckland, New Zealand, to offer full immersion education in Te Reo Māori, the Indigenous language of the Māori people. The first settlers who worked the strawberry fields here wanted a school for their children. It wasn't easy. They were knocked back twice, but great for them. In 1894, they opened their doors to the first class of 17 students. You can change the slide. Thanks, Derek. Just over 90 years later, that same community did it again, and it was in the 80s. Many were involved in the revitalisation of our Indigenous language, Te Reo Māori. The local community came back together and set up the first and still the only, unfortunately, full immersion Māori language unit in the area. Despite this proud heritage, the school and community were fragmented when I joined, and we had 2 parts of the school largely operating separately. Our learning communities didn't understand each other, and my leadership challenge was to unite and repair without diluting or minimizing either partnership or either pathway. So we held a series of meetings. We got the community into the same room. We targeted different groups. We needed to look after our meetings at whose voices were missing and set out using whatever means possible to engage with our whānau, our families. So that did mean phone calling, meeting at the gates, asking questions whenever we could find them. We also made sure that we included all of our stakeholders and spoke to teachers as well as students. And this is what we wanted to know. The 3 questions. So the aspirations for their children. What did they hope for? What were the knowledge, skills, and dispositions they thought were non-negotiable for their child's learning? And you could hear some of the dispositions that were important to Stonefield while the children were talking about their projects and how it's integrated into their learning. So we wanted that for our children as well. And to ensure, like I said earlier, that we weren't telling just one story, we did go to the children and asked similar questions through focus groups. Thanks, Derek. So those were the questions that we discussed with our students as well. So when we finished all of the meetings, it was time to make sense of the data, and traditionally schools do this themselves. They take control of all of that raw data and they make sense by themselves in a room somewhere in the school. We felt it was really important to include all of our stakeholders in that sense making. We felt that they'd contributed to the data and they were the best people to help make sense of it and understand it as well and unpack it. So we power shared a bit. We believe that the people who sort the data control the narrative that it will tell. It was pulled together and we made sure that we had a group of representative stakeholders. We had parents, teachers, members of our board of trustees who help govern the school, and senior leaders came together for a day to first sort, and then next we synthesized. It was really interesting in this part to see the unconventional connections parents had made between ideas and feedback. They were not the ones that educators might have made between ideas and concepts. Sense making together was really integral to bridge that gap between our two pathways and build mutual understanding and respect. So from that collaboration and power sharing with our learning community, we were able to revision and identified shared values that we felt were important to help create our new graduate profile, He Raukura or Birkdale. And this is what we ended up with. We weren't sure at first if we would have two separate graduate profiles, one for each pathway. We felt we would just trust the process and listen to our community and see what fell out. And what did fall out was a profile that was authentic to both pathways. They're related, but they're not the same. They unite without marginalizing or minimizing. And we feel it reflects the bicultural nature of our school, of a school in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I also think allows every learner to thrive. I'll pass the time over to Albany.
Kia ora koutou again, ko Philippa tōka ingoa. My name is Philippa. I'm a tumuaki tuarua, so I'm a deputy principal in an acting position at Albany Senior High School. So I'll go over a little bit about who we are, which is on the next slide. So ko waio, which translates to who are you, what is your water, what is your why. So we are a year 11 to 13 senior high school. We don't have year 13 in New Zealand. We don't have kindergarten in New Zealand. So our senior secondary schools finish at year 13. We have a really diverse student body. So we're a really multicultural school, and more than 50% of our cohort come to Albany Senior from outside of our catchment area. And what that means is that students are choosing to come to this school. So for a lot of our students, they have chosen to leave their secondary school and come to us. And it means that we have a range of young people with a lot of different perspectives on the world, with different experiences of high school, some of them not ideal. And then we also have our awesome local community feeding into that too. So we feel a really strong sense of responsibility to take care of not only those young people who have come up through that community pathway, but also those young people who have chosen us for a reason. As a school, we're really driven by vision. We're driven by our mantras. We're driven by student voice, and we're really driven by relationships. And you'll see that I've got 3 young people on either side of me now, and these are either incoming or past students of Albany Senior High School, and look forward to hearing from them in just a moment. So as a school, we really bridge that space, I think, between having a very strong relational pedagogy and being very focused on the individual and community, and also at the same time being very futures focused. And that rope, or that thread that goes across the bottom of the slides here, just sort of signals that connection between those two sides of our identity. And I think speaks to the work that Birkdale is doing in terms of that connection with community, and also the work that Stonefields is doing in terms of really preparing young people to take charge of their futures. So our mantras, or our visions at Albany Senior High School, is that we nurture each other, whakatiputahi, that we inspire each other, whakaawatahi, and that we empower each other, whakamanatahi. I'll move to the next slide, please, Derek. All right, so similar to what Natasha was saying in Birkdale, we gathered some community voice about what success looks like to the whānau, to the family who had year 11 students coming into our school. And it was a simple activity where we gave out post-it notes and we asked 2 questions. What does success look like at the end of the year for your incoming year 11 young person? And secondly, do you want to have a food truck event later in the year? Now, the second question, it was a unanimous yes, and that was a rip-roaring success, and look forward to doing that again next year. But it was really interesting hearing from our community how they defined success. Overwhelmingly, parents didn't talk about academic success, although that is something that is really important to us, and of course to families as well. But parents talked about wanting the young people to feel happy and safe and confident, that they felt a sense of belonging, that they wanted the young people to have agency and voice, that success was something that could be defined personally, that learning would be relevant and connected to life beyond school, that there was flexibility in learning, and that kindness, respect, and contributing positively to the community were seen as really essential qualities. And that absolutely speaks to our identity here, and is of course reflective, especially of those families who are bringing in young people who may have had a suboptimal experience elsewhere. Next slide, please. So as a school, we look at and feel quite different to other secondary schools across the country. And one way that is reflected is in our timetable. So our lessons are 100-minute blocks, which is quite a long time. I think ordinarily secondary schools in New Zealand might have a period that would last anywhere from 45 minutes, maybe up to 90 minutes at a stretch, but 100 minutes is a significantly longer time on the whole for a young person to be in class. You'll also see right in the smack bang in the middle of the week there is blocked out, and that's where we do project-based learning, similar to the projects that Stonefields was talking about earlier. And then on either side of that, you'll see tutorial. So tutorial is our pastoral strand of the curriculum. It's like a homeroom class. Again, those lessons are 100 minutes long, and that's where young people learn about executive function. It's where you sort of operate as a bit of a learning coach, or sometimes PA, as you support a young person to navigate their personalised academic pathway and meet independently set academic goals that you set at the beginning of the year. Next slide, please. And so, as you will see, there are three wonderful wahine, three young women next to me, and I'll introduce them briefly. So the Cowies, I think we've had both Cowie parents actually work at the school over the last couple of years. I started in 2020 and had the great privilege of having Olivia in my year 13 English class. Then I inherited this one over here, Abby, in my tutor class. And next year, we're really fortunate to have Phoebe coming up through the ranks as well. So I thought it would be interesting to hear from students about either what they have taken away, are taking away, or looking forward to as they come up to Okahukura Mātua Albany Senior High School. And so at this point, I'm going to awkwardly retreat my seat back like the Homer Simpson meme and hand over to these three awesome young women.
Everyone, kia ora. Thank you very much for having us today. I'm Olivia, and as Philly had mentioned, I graduated from Albany 5 years ago. So being a 2020 graduate meant many things, but most prominently, it was the year that COVID hit. In New Zealand, we were in and out of lockdowns, and my school year was incredibly disrupted. I had classes on Zooms and didn't spend very much time at school. But despite the doom and gloom around me, I was introduced to an organisation called Link Online Learners, or LOL for short, by the principal of Ash's, Claire Amos. LOL was my breakfast club. It involved weekly morning Zoom meetings with other young people around the world just for fun. I made amazing friends from around the globe, places in the US, countries in Europe, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and beyond. And we connected through our shared experiences in COVID, but also through our differences. I really enjoyed telling my new friends about New Zealand culture, sports we play here like rugby and netball, and how our Christmases are spent in the sun and in the warm. At LOL, we created a podcast called This Global Life. Our focus was on one country per episode, and we took on myth busting by becoming investigative journalists. For my Wednesday impact project that Philly talked about before, the project-based learning, I edited our podcast on GarageBand, and I would send it to my friend from LOL in Canada who would upload it. So feel free to listen to This Global Life on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. In 2022, I was so grateful to be invited by LOL to speak at the Forum of World Education's annual conference, which was held just north of Bangkok, Thailand. It was a really incredibly valuable experience for myself. I was 19 years old and traveled to another continent on my own to speak about the Breakfast Club that I was so passionate about years prior. And here I am today. Just last week, I wrapped up my tertiary studies, 5 years of uni, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds. I'm seriously considering spending time next year up in the UK with the founder of LOL, helping him on his new project called YesFest. I found so much value in international education that if I can help facilitate the feeling of a breakfast club for another young child, I would be incredibly fulfilled. So call me lucky, or perhaps it's just fate, but I truly feel that being a student at Albany sees quality relationships between staff and students starting right from the top, the principal. Teachers at the school have a desire to go above and beyond to support young people's futures. And it's safe to say that the connection that I was introduced to 5 years ago has dramatically changed the course of my life. So thank you, Claire, and all the staff here for that. I will pass on to Abby.
Hi, I'm Abby and I'm a recent graduate at Albany Senior. There's many things that I will remember about Ashes, but particularly the friendships I've made, not just with other students, but also with teachers. One of the things that stands out most about the school is the sense of equality. Being on a first name basis with the teachers creates a welcoming and supportive environment where students feel respected and valued. This level of approachability makes it easier to ask questions, seek guidance, and engage fully. And it really contributed to making my time at Ashes positive and empowering. I also feel lucky to have had Philly as my awesome tutor teacher. I've learned to take charge of my own learning and developed a new level of independence. I've learned to take responsibility through experiences like navigating the learning pit and embracing learner agency. I was able to make the most of my time at Ashes and feel prepared for the next chapter in my life. Programs like Gateway have been particularly valuable in giving me hands-on experience in a local primary school and helping me explore possible job opportunities for 2026. Thanks to Ashes, I was also part of the Youth Emerging Leadership Program run by the Blues Charitable Trust. The program helped me build connections and networks that I know I can use in the future for work or career opportunities. Both these opportunities have not only supported my personal and academic growth, but also given me practical skills and experiences that I can carry into life beyond Ashes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Phoebe Cowie, and I'm really looking forward to starting at Ashes in 2026. I'm excited about what's ahead and about focusing on new experiences at a school that is known for embracing differences. I'm really looking forward to wearing no mufti, because clothing is a big part of how I express myself. Being able to show who I am through what I wear without a uniform makes me feel like an individual. I'm excited to learn more about myself too through self-expression in my clothing. Another thing I'm excited for is the longer learning blocks. At the moment, I'm in 60-minute classes, and I sometimes feel rushed about getting my work done. I don't always get as much done as I'd like to. I'm hoping to have that longer period so I can get settled in, stay focused, and actually get stuck into work that I am proud of. And finally, I'm looking forward to the sporting opportunities. I've seen how valuable these experiences have been for my sisters, and I look forward to creating new memories of my own. I play basketball, netball, and volleyball, and am excited to play, meet new people, and connect to different year levels through these opportunities. Overall, it's a chance to grow, try new things, and be a part of a community that I'm looking forward to most about Ashes. Thank you.
Awesome. So I've put myself sort of awkwardly on the side here now. But I think the three girls have really spoken about what is so central to us at Albany Senior High School. On the one hand, the relationships are absolutely crucial, and Olivia spoke to that in terms of even just that connection with our principal, which I think is unusual. Schools can be, and large organizations by design, need to be hierarchical in many ways, but there are some things that we put in place to sort of intentionally flatten that hierarchy. One of those things being having teachers being on a first name basis. I can remember starting at Albany Senior High School and finding that really weird. I've never been known as Philippa. I've always been Philly, sort of to all of my friends. And when I started here, I made a point of saying, I'd like for you to call me Philly, because being called Philippa just makes me feel like I'm getting in trouble again. And I've moved past that delinquent phase of my life now, and I'm a very mature adult. But to hear students sort of calling across the campus and saying, hey, Philly, at first was so unusual, and it felt like a bit of an invasion in some ways, but very, very quickly, it turned into the most genuine and heartfelt interactions with young people. It is a wonderful thing as an adult to be seen as a full person by your students. And outside of a professional context, you'd never have an expectation that a teenager would call you miss or sir. So whilst we absolutely appreciate that that's something that might not look and feel right in other contexts, for us, it feels just right. The other thing as well is that we have to balance those positive relationships with having high academic expectations. And I'm thinking of you, Abby, in particular, that swing between year 11 and year 12, where you locked in. And I can remember you coming into tutor class and just being absolutely, just unapologetically focused on achieving highly. And there was a point in the year where we looked at your academic goals that we'd set together and with your family, and we looked at your grade average and we thought, well, we can up the ante here. We can actually extend this grade now from being a merit endorsement or a certain GPA to looking for excellence endorsements, which is sort of like an A average. And so what a tremendous thing to be able to work with a young person and to decide that we can aim higher and kind of work in partnership and work with family to get there. So I'm incredibly proud to be a teacher and to be a leader at this school. We have very low attrition. It makes it really difficult to go anywhere else. And I'm just so grateful for the connections that I've been able to make with you guys and with your families. So thank you guys so much for your ongoing contribution to the school. Derek, if we can just move to that final slide there with that whakatauki. So I'd like to just sort of wrap up the corridor, the conversation that we've had across Stonefields and Birkdale and Albany Senior High School. Ultimately, we are talking about people. We are talking about people being prepared for their lives and taking control of their learning. And we're talking about community and relationships. So there's a beautiful whakatauki, there's a beautiful proverb that speaks to this. He aha te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. What is the most important thing in the world? It is the people, it is the people, it is the people. And whilst that whakatauki is very true to our heart down here in Aotearoa, I know that that will resonate globally with our audience today. So on that, I would like to pass over to my colleague Derek to wrap us up and then to hand us off across the Tasman. Ngā mihi nui kia koutou. Thank you so much for joining us.
Your mic's not on, Derek.
Sorry, I bumped that. Philly, that was such a wonderful presentation from you and your students, and also the students at Stonefield, and that story of community engagement at Birkdale, really good. Just before I do wrap up with some thoughts, I wonder if either Hope or Natasha just wanted to sort of sum up a final thought from you as you've sat and listened to the other presentations. I'll give you some time now. Natasha, looks like you're for the microphone.
Yeah. I've listening to Stonefield and Albany really gives us hope for our journey because we're a little bit earlier on in the piece. And so it's really nice to see what comes next when you invest in listening to stakeholders and listening to children and engaging them through agency into their learning. And that's really what we hope for at Birkdale Primary as well. It's what their parents wanted. They wanted confident people who positively contribute to their whānau community and the world. And so that's our vision. And yeah, I just found it really hopeful listening to the two schools who are a little bit further down the track.
Kia ora. Hope, did you have a thought?
Yeah, I think although I didn't go into sort of the background behind our vision, aspiration, and how we got there, of course, talking to all stakeholders, your whānau, or your parent community, your learners and your teaching team and support staff team, to grow a vision that is strong enough when, as Philly mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we're in a time of change and sort of trying times for educators in New Zealand right now and around the world. There are similar things happening too. And yeah, I think if you have those strong vision and values, it means that it's something to ground your community and your staff and your learners on. And yeah, I think that sharing, having that curriculum entitlement around, of course, the critical to know, we refer to it as those knowledge, the knowledge and the skills, but also the capabilities that young people need for the future. Things like resilience, things like agency, perspective taking, collaboration are all really crucial for our ever-changing world. So very inspiring morning listening to all three schools.
Kia ora, Hope. Thank you for that. And I know that many of you will be looking with interest to see what happens as this next 24 hours unfolds and we hear stories from other parts of the world. I just wanted to, I guess, wrap up by drawing attention to some of the themes that we've had fun really talking about, and Hope and Natasha have done a good job already on that, as well as Philly. But I guess from New Zealand's perspective, as Philly said right at the beginning with that image of the sun and the story that was told, as it relates to change and the relentlessness of change and the things that we do in response, that really underpins what we're talking about in this next 24 hours, as Gabrielle said at the beginning, the emphasis on how can we break through and find new and emerging ways where learning is enriched and encouraged and academic achievement is not lost in the midst of it all and so forth. And I just want to, my own perspective, as you listened to the three speakers, the three schools that were represented today, we heard very strong emphasis, as Hope just pointed out, on the importance of understanding our purpose at the center of things, understanding why we exist as schools and the work that we do as educators. And this is represented often in our vision statements and our mission statements and our graduate profile. These are all mechanisms that help us articulate the purpose. And in some cases, both teachers and students can end up coming into a school situation and feel that purpose is being dumped on them. It's something that someone else has determined, and they just simply have to play the game. And I think to a point, as we as a country exist, that is important. As a country, there will be an important understanding that's reached about what the purpose of education is. Often it's an economic purpose, often it's a future of the country kind of purpose. But in our local communities, and I think Natasha's story at Birkdale really highlight the process as well that she went through, it's important to bring our communities, our students, our parents, and our community members on board with that, and not just to ask them questions and then say, thanks very much, you've given us an answer, but actually to involve them in the whole process. So that was one thing that I think is really important as a common theme in what we've done here. The other one is the centrality of students in all of this, not to make them just a target of what we do, but actually to make them active participants in what we are doing. And you'll have heard the word agency mentioned many times in the presentations by the students, understanding that they are equipped to to have choices around what they learn, but also equipped with the skills and knowledge, the capabilities to act on those choices and to be able to do something that is purposeful. And the program that's been initiated at Stonefield School is a very good illustration of that with young learners as an elementary school level, how they can understand, how they can exercise agency over those 3 dimensions in their learning program. So agency, I think, is really critical, how we share the ownership of learning. And the last couple of things really that are implications of that are the things around then, how do we rethink the structures that we've used to support our learning environments and our schools and so forth. We saw a great example from Albany of how they've rethought their timetable as a structure that often dominates the way that schools operate and the assumptions we make about that. But we also heard from students there about the use of online technologies to introduce them to connections that are not just local but global, and to establish things that create meaning in their lives but in the lives of others, and actually create hope and new opportunities into the future. So I think as we think around those sorts of things, structures, role of teachers, the engagement with parents and whānau, the centrality of students and their voice becomes really important. So I just want to finish off by highlighting something that we did here in New Zealand just a few months ago that we would like to share with you. And it's a work from this slide here. We held an event here in New Zealand of like-minded educators, such as the people that you've been hearing from here and others, that we called EdRising. And we had 5 themes at that event that we spent time really exploring, and I'm sharing it with you here because you can read all about it and the outcomes of that reflect a lot of what we've heard about today. The themes that we had, the first theme was leading for equity and agency, where we were looking at empowering learners, educators, and communities to drive the change. The second theme we had was really focused on what Natasha talked about, community-led transformation, where we're looking at strengthening the ecosystems of support and innovation so that schools aren't just left on their own to do all of this work. We inevitably had a theme on digital futures, where we looked at what's going to be required to help our young people navigate this incredibly complex world as they move forward, dominated by both the risks and potential of AI, for example, and what it means to develop as digital citizens in an increasingly online world. Our fourth theme was redefining success, and we heard some mention of that in terms of the presentations from Albany, where we're rethinking what makes success work in a school beyond just academic success, but as whole people. And of course, that was at the heart of what Natasha shared from Birkdale, when we're starting to think about those qualities, dispositions, and characteristics that we want to see our young people develop. And finally, we had a theme on leading for transformation, where we focused on the disposition strategies and theories of action that leaders in schools need to operate with. We need leaders who are risk takers, who are championing the cause of agentic learning and so forth. And so you'll find in that report a very comprehensive overview of what the New Zealand experience was, and we'd love to hear from that experience, as I'm sure Gabriel will in the work that he does, of efforts to achieve a transformational approach in your country, in your location. With that, I will hand back over to Gabriel. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to share in this and particularly to have the opportunity, as we did last time, Gabriel, to start it off. And I hope we did that well for you. New Zealand, ka kite.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful. It was truly an honor. Everything you've shared was not only impressive, it's inspirational. So thanks for all that you're doing. To the students, if you're still listening to us, you're being very well prepared for the future. That's what I can tell you. The kind of learning that you're engaged in, what you're exploring, the deeper meaning of what you're doing is what not only is going to make you feel good and give you a wholesome life, it is also going to give you, as your community exemplified in one of the slides, a new definition of success. So thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. We look forward to continuing our dialogue in the weeks to come. Thank you very much.